Chad, this week we just released our new documentary, Indoctrination Nation. The audience can find that on unwokeusadoc.com. That's unwokeusadoc.com. And what we did, Chad, is we spent a whole month leading up to the governor race in Virginia and Loudoun County and really documented the inside fight of the parents fighting against school boards and eventually actually leading to Glenn Youngkin's victory. So for folks who don't remember, Virginia is a state that Biden won by 10 points, and it flipped and went to a Republican governor for the first time since 2009. And the reason is because right when these school boards overreach with CRT and very sexualized content, I think that for me as a reporter, that was the biggest takeaway was all the sexualized content. You know, the parents fought back. Education went from one of the more bottom issues to number two, and Glenn Youngkin did a really good job on hammering that. We saw McCullough, that famous line where he said that parents shouldn't be deciding what's in their parents' education. So for us, Chad, we went deep investigation showing not only all the documents of CRT and sexualized content, but speaking to those parents and sharing their story, because those parents were demonized by the local media. You could even turn on MSNBC after Glenn Youngkin's victory, and Joy Reid was calling them white supremacists. Right. The funny thing about that was all the parents we interviewed, the majority of them that were upset with CRT were immigrant families, parents from India, China, a lot of color. Yeah, a lot of Salvadorian parents. Of color, yeah. So that's one thing that I think people forget is a lot of these immigrant families are actually sometimes more conservative than your average American conservative. Yeah. So when you push that, anything LGBT, transgender, I mean, that's a big race. So we did a full investigation into that, and I think a lot of the audience is going to wake up to that. And for me, the biggest takeaway was all the sexualized content. We interviewed one mom that according to her son was assigned a book called Rick, and it kind of talks about transgenderism and stuff that doesn't have to do anything with education, not about math, science, the basic stuff that you and me when we went to school, the things that they taught us. So it's a great documentary, great story, and it gives those parents a voice because the local media really turned their back on them, and so did national media as well. Yeah.
You think those parents are just had it? I mean, just overall, parents have just had it with the school boards and the school systems and those kind of things, and just see where they're going, and they're just like, we've had enough.
Not only that, but also in Loudoun County, the thing that really started the rage was them covering up a sexual assault with this boy that was gender fluid, and then he actually sexually assaulted another female at another high school because the school boards were trying to cover it up. So there was a lot of government overreach, and I think those parents got sick of it. And one thing that we kind of point out in the documentary is what happens in Virginia could actually kind of be a roadmap for Republicans in other states to say, hey, if we just stick to the local issues and focus on what our voters want, we could win. And I think that what happened in Virginia is going to be a good roadmap for Republicans in 2022. If they look at that, I think one thing that Youngkin did really well was he never mentioned Trump and never mentioned Biden in his race. He just stuck to what Virginia voters cared about, and it led to a victory.
Yeah, I think we're going to see more and more of that if people are smart.
Mm-hmm. I do too.
That's where you're gonna have to get to. I mean, look, it's bad enough when you got Merrick Garland, the Department of Justice, the Attorney General of the United States, calling parents domestic terrorists. I mean, this is the kind of stuff people just had enough of this.
I mean, look at the language they've used for those parents, and they were never that aggressive with the Black Lives Matter rioters during the 2020 summer. So, they angered the parents, and that's one thing you don't want. You don't want to wake up that base because they'll do whatever it takes to protect their kids. They'll protest all day. They'll get involved. They'll set up organizations. So, I do think it's going to be a roadmap for 2022 for Republicans. And considering too, with this new Omicron variant or whatever, now I was reading around 2,000 schools are now closed again, and I think that's going to wake up a lot of parents to say enough is enough.
Well, we talked about it yesterday. Detroit, they're just like, well, we're not coming back to school. We're not, we're going to take 3 days off. We're going to just, I mean, what are you going to do? 2 days a week for school? I mean, that's your whole pattern, the whole thing. And then people just take this stuff like pablum and just swallow it and be like, yeah, okay, that's what they're telling us to do.
And the funny thing too, Chad, is the side that supports these school lockdowns is always the side that says they advocate for black and brown people. Well, who do you think this affects the most? Is black and brown kids?
In Detroit, of all places.
Yeah, Detroit.
I mean, my God, in Detroit, of all places. These are the things. That's why they're so tone deaf. They do these things and affect these policies that directly, adversely affect, communities with people of color